Hi, I'm Jenny Tong. I'm a GB weightlifter and a MiraFit ambassador.
Hello, I am Nurin Ghulam, GB weightlifter and MiraFit ambassador.
So a bit of background, this British Championships was the last qualifying event for the Commonwealth Games for British athletes, and it was the last opportunity for us to get onto the Commonwealth rankings. Unfortunately, last year during the British Championships, which was the first ranking event, I had a pretty severe back injury, which meant that I couldn't compete, so I wasn't on the rankings yet. Going into this British Championships, my only focus was to make a total. I didn't care what the total was, I just needed numbers on the ranking. So I really went in with no game plan, with no intention of trying to push for spectacular numbers, and absolutely no intention of trying to win. I was just deathly focused on what I was doing, and I just had like tunnel vision. Do the lift, execute it well, go out, do exactly the same. And it was that I got into like a routine in the back room of get set up, execute, done. Set up, execute, done. And then it was go out onto the platform and do exactly the same thing. And I did, and it paid off. And it just so happened that I won. I didn't know I was in a position to win up until just before I went out for my last clean and jerk, when someone said, you know, if you make this, you're in first place.
I think breaking a British record's always so special, but it was my first senior British record. I've been part of the sport like 11 years now, and you always look at those records and they're always something that you strive to get close to even, let alone kind of break. So I think it was almost a sense of relief that I'd finally done it, that I'd finally kind of achieved that goal of breaking a British record and breaking a senior British record, because I've held under 23 records before. That it's just so special to know that nobody's ever lifted that weight before in the country. Yeah, it's just definitely such a nice feeling to know that you're kind of the best within your field.
One of the things that Nurin and I both have in common is our ability to be very straightforward and to not beat around the bush and to not do the whole self-pitying thing. And so I think one of the benefits that I gain from our friendship is that if I'm ever complaining about something, I'm challenged, and Nurin seeks solutions from me. She's like, okay, if you're complaining about it, what are you going to do about it? I don't believe in just complaining for complaint's sake. Sometimes you just want to vent to your friends, and that can be very frustrating when I just want to vent to my friend and she's like, well, what are you going to do about it? I don't want to do anything about it, I just want to vent. But on reflection, 9 times out of 10, I do actually want a solution from it. I'm not always willing to seek that out immediately. And so it's occasionally an afterthought where she brings that out of me. She's like, right, well, what are you going to do about it? Our friendship is very solution-based and problem-solving based. I mean, we have a quirky joke between us, which is say less, do more. Don't talk about it, do it. Let the results speak for themselves. And I really value that, because a lot of the time I'm lacking that in some of my other circles.
Jenny, her best asset as a trait is she's always there to remind you that you are a bad bee, kind of thing, and to put you, put life in perspective, really. And that's something I really kind of value her for, is we definitely challenge each other. We're not the kind of friends that are like, oh, it's okay, or if we feel like we're doing something that's counterintuitive to achieving our goals, we will call each other up on that, and we will question why are we thinking that way, why are we doing these things. So I really value that as a friend, because sometimes you really need someone to put you in check, and especially when you come across as that alpha female or that empowered woman. There's quite a lot of people that they don't question what you do. They don't dare to question what you do or what you're saying, or whether what you're doing is right. So it's really important to have that friend that goes, actually, have you thought through that? Because we're so busy. Everyone's so busy nowadays. Life moves so fast. Sometimes you make decisions that aren't the right decisions, or you kind of make rash decisions that aren't quite properly thought out. So I think that it's really important that you do have those friends that go, okay, well, why are you doing that? Is that worth it? Is that in line with your goals? You told me you want to do this, and that doesn't really add up. So I do really value her for that, but also just the energy that she brings. It's always positive, and she's always there to kind of remind me who I am and what the goal is.
My advice, if anyone's ever feeling never so anxious about going into the weights area of a gym or just into the gym in general, my piece of advice would be go with a friend. Go with a work colleague, someone who either has or hasn't ever been to the gym before, because if they haven't been, then you can both explore together and you feel like you've got a partner in crime with you. You can learn together. Or if you're with someone who is experienced in going to the gym, you know that they can guide you and offer advice on form, on exercise prescriptions, etc. For a lot of women, there are stigmas and stereotypes around weight training about looking too manly and getting too muscular. And my piece of advice to women, if they ever have hang-ups about that, would be to look at weightlifters, right? We come in all shapes and sizes. Women come in all shapes and sizes. Humans come in all shapes and sizes, and there is not a one-size-fits-all prescription. So going to the gym and lifting weights isn't going to make you look manly because you are not a man. That's rule 101, right? You're not going to grow muscles like a man because we are built genetically very different, and without the help of performance-enhancing supplements, you're probably never going to get the same musculature as a male. Debunk the myths that you might have in your head about being too muscular if you lift weights, and find a friend to help you in the gym.
I think weightlifting, it definitely is the kind of sport that you need kind of that patience, and you really need that determination. You need the work ethic outside of that, and there's loads of factors outside of weightlifting in terms of outside of solely lifting weights that impact your performance in weightlifting. You know, your lifestyle, your sleep, the stress, your diet, and your food. That actually it can really empower you in many ways, more than just strength, and that being physical strength, and can help you develop those skills that you need, I think, in order to like excel in life. Like I said, like patience, not only in your technique, but in your progress. Progress doesn't come overnight with weightlifting. Progress is all over the place. Sometimes you're excelling, and then all of a sudden you see yourself kind of plateau, and the kind of lifestyle aspects that you need around it. It's actually a really difficult sport to excel in. You need to make sure that your recovery is on point. You need to make sure that you're eating right. And if you fall short on any of those, it does make a significant difference.
As cliche as it sounds, the biggest motivator in my life is my younger self, my nephews and nieces, and my family. I wouldn't instinctively say that I am the most family-orientated person. I didn't grow up with my family right by my side, but there is not a day that goes by that I don't want to be a role model for my nephews and nieces, that I don't want to be the kind of adult that my younger self would have looked up to and thought, wow, I want to be like her when I grow up. And that means a lot to me, to be able to be that for them. If no one else in the world would look at me and even know my name, if my nephews and nieces take something from my experiences and build upon that and create bright futures for themselves, knowing that they were able to overcome things because of the things that I'd inspired them to do, then I've done my job. Then I can rest easy and I can sleep well at night. For me, being able to inspire young people is a massive motivator. I don't necessarily, and I said this earlier, I don't necessarily ever set out to be a role model. I won't police what I say. I won't pretend to be anyone that I'm not. I will 100% be true to who I am and true to that little girl and all the dreams and ambitions she had, whilst at the same time wanting other people to realise that you can just be yourself and be successful. You don't have to bow down to anyone else's expectations. I think that is the thing that motivates me the most, is knowing that I will continue to be myself and I will continue to do what I want to do relentlessly and be who I want to be relentlessly, and hopefully inspire other young people to be themselves too.
So I actually lost my mum when I was 17. She'd been through like so much in her life, and I think just observing someone, and this is outside of sport really, when you go through your life observing someone fighting every day to just exist, that really puts things in perspective when you are fighting to achieve your goals kind of outside of living. You know, you see someone fall down and get back again, and it's a whole different scale when you think they reach near-death experiences and manage to come back, and you think everything outside of that is so minuscule. Any issue that you could possibly have. Sometimes, you know, I'm crying that I didn't make it to a Commonwealth Games. Okay, well, there's some people out there that are literally fighting every day for their lives. And that then puts it in perspective when you go, okay, I'm really fortunate to be in a position where I could actually even be competing at the Commonwealth Games, or competing and trying to qualify at the Commonwealth Games, because my mum never had that. She wasn't in a position where physically she could take part in sport if she wanted to. And that's how she lived her life. She was told that she couldn't have kids because physically she wouldn't be able to cope with the physical demands of bearing children and having children. And she obviously defied all odds and managed to do that. And I think that really does drive me to, there's nothing that you can't achieve physically, mentally. There's nothing that if you really put your mind to it, you can't do after having literally observed someone their whole life overcoming these obstacles that are so much bigger than sport.
I really struggled. The hardest part for me was having to explain to my dad that I might not ever exist without being in excruciating pain ever again. I felt like I was crippled, and that was heartbreaking. And the process of trying to rationalize that in my head, rationalize the fact that I might not ever be pain-free again, the fact that I might not ever lift a barbell again or ever compete again, that was really, really difficult, and it ate away at me. But I knew that there had to be something. Something must work somehow. People recover from all sorts of accidents and injuries and paralyses, so why not me? And it really just came down to throwing the book at it. I threw as much resource as I had available to me at the problem. I sought out some of the best doctors and medical professionals I could get my hands on, and yeah, just increased my support network, and thanks to that support network and just being really consistent with my rehab work, I won a British Champs.
I think there's definitely like multiple times with weightlifting and with sport where you think kind of what's the point? You know, I've been lifting for 11 years. I've gone through school, I've gone through university, I've started a full-time job, and you think there's sometimes when you're like, you don't feel like you've got any better. You don't feel like, you know, you're going in, I'm going in, I'm working, I'm training just as hard, and the results aren't there, or I find myself injured. So last summer I was injured, I couldn't go to the British, and it was essentially, I'd done something at work which was fun, and because I had fun, it was almost like a consequence of having fun. And I was like, well, what's the point? What is the point here? Do I just live a normal life and crack on and really focus on my career and not worry about being an athlete? And then something good happens, you know, and then you have this kind of epitome of, oh, I've just done a PB. And it's almost like you need to go through the grind and make it out the other side. And every time I make it out the other side, it's that reminder of, okay, it is worth it. All of that hard work, all of that grind is worth it. But there's definitely been so many occasions, and injury being kind of the stem of that. And especially in weightlifting, quite a lot of injuries are overuse injury. So it's like you're training, because you're training so hard that you're putting your body through, you know, sheer amounts of load daily. And you go, well, all I'm trying to do is be the best version of myself, and I'm hit with this injury. But it definitely is always worth it when you come out the other end and you break a British record, or you know, you become British champion, that you really kind of reap the rewards of what you sow. And I think that's the reminder for me, is it's always going to be worth it, and you just need to push through that tough times to make it out on the end.